Welcome to Evolving Into Her. I'm Ashley Hope, and this is your weekly check-in to get out of your head, into your body, and back into alignment with the version of you who's already living the vision. So grab your favorite cup of tea, settle in, and let's get into the show. Hey girl, hey, welcome back to Evolving Into Her. This is your host, Ashley Hope. And before we jump into today's episode, let me just say this. It is my birthday week and I am excited. My energy is high. My heart is open. And I'm so grateful to be here for yet another lap around the sun. This year is going to be so good. Last year, or 2025 rather, my word of the year is cultivate. And that's exactly what I did. I was planting seeds. I was doing the inner work. I was tilling the ground. I was pulling weeds. I was pruning branches, really making sure that the seeds I've planted are in fertile soil. But baby, this next lap around the sun, 2026 and beyond, that is my harvest season. Okay, that is my word for this upcoming year. It is harvest. I will see the fruits of my labor. I will see the fruits of the tears that I've cried. I will see the fruit of the work I have done. I will see the fruit of the inner work I've done, the evolving I've done, the serving that I've done, the cultivating that I've done. And maybe not all of it because divine timing and divine order. But best believe there will be a harvest, not the entire harvest, because that timing is ultimately up to the Most High. But you best believe, baby, I will be out there picking fruit, okay? A lot of those seeds did sprout and they did flourish and they are bountiful, and it is so. Speaking of my birthday, if you haven't already, go listen to Sunday's coffee chat, and I shared some of my birthday reflections and how my perspective on legacy has been shifting. I pray that that episode blesses you and possibly shifts the way you view legacy, especially if you've been thinking about the kind of life you want to build and the woman you're becoming year after year, and even after you're long gone. And now for our review of the week. This comes from Leslie Pooh 1. I actually know Leslie in real life. Thank you, sis, so much for your review. And she left me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. And it is titled, If Walking in Your Purpose Was a Person. And it reads, I've known Ashley for years and I always knew she had a higher calling. Seeing her step fully into her purpose and pour into others through this podcast is so inspiring. Every episode feels divinely led and deeply resonant. Congratulations on the success of this podcast, sis. Well deserved. Girl, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate every word. I appreciate every share, every message y'all send me. This show is reaching women all over the world because of you. Evolving Into Her is in over 60 countries now. Like, what? And if you haven't already, please leave me a written review on Apple Podcasts. We're almost at 100 ratings on both Spotify and Apple. I would like to get there by the end of the year. That's kind of like my goal over the next month. So if you love this podcast and it's been pouring into you, it's been blessing you, perhaps it's been shifting your perspective, giving you hope, it's reassuring, baby, tap those 5 stars, please, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you can. And when you do that, it really helps push my podcast into the algorithm. And thus this message reaches women who really need it all over the world. Okay, we are in part 4 of the Get Out of Your Own Way series. And each week we've been talking about the subtle ways we get in our own way and thus God's way. Part 1 was the trap of being busy. Part 2 was the perfectionism trap. And part 3 was healing the inner critic and the inner mean girl. If you missed any of those, go back and listen. And while you're there, make sure you hit subscribe or follow so new episodes automatically show up in your feed. And today, part 4 of the series, we're talking about something that feels small, but creates a lot of pressure in the background: comparison. The looking left and the looking right, the scrolling, the measuring, the quiet thoughts that creep in when you see someone else winning and you start wondering if you should be further by now. You're questioning your own lane and your own assignment and your own progress. And we're going to talk about why comparison shows up, what it steals from you, and how to bring your focus back to the assignment that God gave you, how to keep your eyes on your own paper, because comparison will have you out here doubting the very blessings you prayed for. It'll have you questioning your own timeline. It'll have you feeling discouraged when you are exactly where you need to be, where you are exactly where God intended for you to be. Today is about getting out of that trap and coming back home to your own lane. So grab something you can sip slow, friend, and let's get into the show. So sis, before you even think about judging yourself for comparing, I want you to understand why it even happens, because comparison is not always jealousy. It's not always envy. It's not always immaturity. It's not you being ungrateful. Comparison is something the brain naturally does when it's trying to make sense of the world. And so from the time when we were little, we learned by watching other people. We learned what was safe, what got praised, what got corrected, what was possible. And we learned about this in a previous episode. Our brains are wired with something called mirror neurons. All that means is that your brain responds when you see someone doing something you relate to or something you desire. Your brain fires like it's almost happening to you too. So when you see someone online living a life you want, doing something you're working toward, experiencing a blessing you've been praying for, your brain automatically starts comparing without you even trying. It's scanning, it's observing, it's asking, what does this mean for me? Where do I fit? Am I doing enough? And I just want to tell you, sis, that response is normal, whether people say it or not. It has nothing to do with your worth. It has nothing to do with your progress. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean you're behind. It doesn't mean you're this bad person that's jealous and envious. It is just your brain doing exactly what it is designed to do. So don't judge it or feel bad for it. Comparison also gets louder in seasons where you feel unsure of yourself. When you're tired, when you're overwhelmed, when you're questioning your decisions, when you're waiting on something to break through, when you're in a middle season, an in-between season, when life feels like it's moving slower than you thought it would. And in those moments, naturally, your mind starts looking left and right for direction. It's looking in other people's lanes. It's peeking over the fence into other people's yards to see if their grass is greener. And it's not because someone else's life is better than yours or that your life is any worse than theirs, but because your brain is trying to find certainty. And trust me, social media adds fuel to the fire because we get this almost unnatural access to people's highlight reels all day long. Their wins, their milestones, vacations, relationships, progress, accomplishments, weddings, proposals, babies, new jobs, everything. And even when you know it's curated, it's 2025. We know this is curated. We know people are not on social media sharing all of their hardships, their everyday struggle, their mental health challenges all the time. We know this. And even when you know it is not the whole story, your brain will still take note of all the wins and naturally compare. So I want to normalize this for you, friend. Comparison is human. It happens to the best of us. There is nothing wrong with you. But just because comparison is human doesn't mean it is helpful. It does not mean it deserves a seat at the table. And it definitely does not get to lead your decisions or your emotions anymore. So friend, this episode is going to help you recognize comparison faster so you can redirect it sooner. Because the quicker you catch it, the quicker you can bring your focus back to your own lane, back to your own paper, your own assignment. And so let's move into what comparison takes from you, because it takes more than you think. Comparison is not harmless. It is not small. It's not something you can just ignore and hope it goes away. Comparison slowly eats away at the things you need in order to grow and evolve. So first things first, comparison steals your joy. We've heard that all the time. Comparison is the thief of joy. But let me tell you what that actually looks like. Okay. It shows up in the moments where you should be proud of yourself. The moments where you have every reason to celebrate, but instead of sitting in gratitude, your mind goes, yeah, this is good, but look at what she's doing. Look at what she has. Look at what she accomplished. And instantly the joy you earned gets discounted. It gets diminished. Comparison also steals your gratitude. It pulls your attention away from what God already placed in your hands, what God already blessed you with, away from the prayers that have already been answered that you're walking in today. And it makes you overlook the progress that you prayed for, the progress that you worked hard for. And sometimes it can make you forget how far you've actually come because you're too busy watching someone else's race. You're all up in their lane. Your eyes are all up on their paper. Comparison will also steal your confidence, and not all at once. It takes it in little pieces. One scroll, one moment, one thought, should I be further than this? Am I doing enough? And before you know it, little by little, you start shrinking yourself without even realizing it. Comparison also steals your peace because the moment you start looking around, you stop trusting the timing of your own life, of your own path. And you start feeling pressure you were never meant to feel. Pressure to match someone else's pace. Pressure to hit milestones that were never assigned to you. Pressure to rush seasons that require patience and presence. Comparison also steals your ability to be present. How can you be in your own lane and someone else's lane at the same time? That doesn't even make sense. Your mind ends up everywhere except where you actually are. And the biggest thing comparison steals, your alignment, friend. It gets you out of position. It makes you doubt where God has you. It makes you lose sight of the assignment that was designed specifically for your life. And you already know this, but I'm going to remind you, you do not know what someone else walked through to get where they are. You don't know what they sacrificed. You don't know what they had to release, what they had to give up. You don't know their timeline, their challenges, their resources, their support. You don't know the calling on their life. And your journey cannot be measured against a story you were never meant to live. Comparison is one of the quietest ways we get in our own way and thus in God's way. And it sneaks up on you. It shifts your mindset. It distorts your perception, distorts your view, and it disconnects you from your purpose. But sis, the good news, I always got some good news, girl. The good news is that once you understand what it steals, you can reclaim it. Okay. You can protect your joy. You can protect your gratitude. You can protect your peace, and you can protect the lane that God set aside just for you. Okay. So let's bring some scripture into this because the Bible already gave us a whole blueprint for getting out of the comparison trap. And it's from Galatians 6:4. And it reads, each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else. And I love this verse because it's simple, it's direct, and it speaks exactly to what we're talking about today. That scripture is basically saying, stay focused on what God placed in your hands. Pay attention to what you're doing. Examine your own work, your own growth, your own progress. It's reminding you that your life has its own assignment. Your story has its own pace. Your purpose has its own blueprint. And when you honor that, you get to take pride in your journey without looking left or right in someone else's lane. And this verse isn't telling you to isolate yourself or pretend other people don't inspire you. It's not saying that at all. It's telling you to remember the truth that what God has for you is for you, to rest in that truth, to know that truth. Your timeline was never meant to look like hers. Your blessings was never meant to look like hers. Your assignment was never meant to look like hers. Your calling was never meant to be identical to hers. And sister, your growth will never make sense if you keep measuring it against someone else's life. In Galatians 6:4, that verse pulls you back into personal responsibility and personal accountability in an empowering way. And it says, pay attention to your own lane. Evaluate your actions. Celebrate your progress. Stay focused on your assignment. Because when your eyes are on your own paper, you don't feel rushed. You don't feel pressured. You don't feel behind. You don't feel tempted to do what she does so you can have what she has. You get to experience your life fully without the distortion. And that is how you step out of comparison and back into alignment. So here's the part where we make it practical, because as I told you before, your brain is naturally inclined to compare. It's just what it does. And I wanted to give you something that you can use, that you could keep in your back pocket when you have the awareness that your brain is starting to compare, because we know comparison can sneak up on you at the most random times. So you need a tool that's easy to remember and easy to use. So the framework for this week is OBR. Observe, bless, return. Say it with me in your mind for a second. OBR. Just remember that acronym. You can literally pause and run yourself through these 3 steps whenever comparison tries to rear its sneaky head, okay? So the O in OBR, that stands for observe. And here, just notice the moment that comparison comes up, because it will. And do not judge, don't shame. This is just your moment for awareness. And when comparison comes up, you may say something like, "Ooh, I felt something there," or "That made me question myself," or "That post hit a nerve for some reason." You're not wrong for feeling it, okay? You're simply just observing it so you can shift out of it. And then we move into the B in OBR, which stands for bless. All right. This is where the energy changes. This is where you step into your inner alchemist. I want you to bless the person you compared yourself to. Bless their win, bless their moment, bless what they're experiencing. Because when you bless someone, you break the illusion that you're in competition with them. You just send them love. And it doesn't have to be this long, drawn out, fake prayer. It could be, "Good for her," or "I love that for her," or "She's showing me what's possible." The only caveat with this is try to really mean it when you say it, okay? Because your blessing makes space for gratitude. And then we move on to the R in OBR, and that stands for return. And that's when you come back home to your own life, your own thing, your own assignment, your own purpose, your own calling, your own business, okay? And you can ask yourself, what do I need to focus on today? What did that moment reveal about me? What do I need to tend to in my own life right now? The returning centers you. It pulls you out of comparison and back into alignment with what God is doing in your story. OBR, observe, bless, return. Let me know if you use OBR this week. In Spotify, you can reply in the comments to the episode, and I read every single comment. So let me know how OBR works for you. Let me know if it shifts something in you. Let me know if it shifts your frequency, shifts your energy. Let me know if it helps you take your mind and your focus and your energy back, so you're not looking over your fence and into someone else's yard at their grass, over into their lane. Let me know if it brings your focus back to you and the calling that God has on your life, on your assignment, on your purpose. And before we wrap up, y'all know I love to give you a mantra and some reflection prompts that you can work through throughout the week to help you integrate these topics more deeply. This week, I'm going to do something different and send them to my email list. So both the mantra and the journal prompts will be shared through email. So if you're already on my email list, those will land in your inbox. And if you're not on the list yet, go ahead and join so you can take this work deeper with me. The link to join Her Inner Circle, which is my free email list, is in the show notes. Sister, as you move through this week, I want you to really pay attention to where your eyes land. And every time comparison tries to pull you out of your lane, girl, come back to you. Use OBR, observe, bless, return. Come back to you. Come back to what God is doing in your life. Come back to the woman you are becoming. Your timeline is not supposed to look like anyone else's timeline, okay? You have your very own unique path, your own pace, your own assignment, your own purpose. And when you honor that, you get out of your own way and you give God room to move in ways you could never fathom, ways you could never expect. So lean into OBR this week. Observe, bless, return, and let it help you stay present in your own life, in your own lane, on your own grass, instead of drifting into someone else's. And as always, thank you for spending time with me. If this episode blessed you, go ahead and leave me a 5-star rating, girl, and a written review on Apple Podcasts. That helps more women find this work and join us on their evolution journey. And make sure you're following or subscribed so the next episode shows up right in your feed. And remember, if you want the mantra and the reflection prompts for this week, Join the email list using the link in the show notes. Sis, I love you. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you back here on Sunday for our next coffee chat. I'm Ashley Hope, and you've been listening to Evolving Into Her. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you for choosing her, for choosing yourself. And until next time, stay in devotion to your becoming.